Peace and blessings. Welcome back to our series with our baby Kato. This is part 11. This is the Kate kit that I am reborning as a male. This is why I have named him Kato. On the last part of the series, part 10, I had gone in the ears with the color nutmeg, and we did some minor repairs. So what I want to let you know what I did off camera was I went on ahead and I went over the areas of repair again just one time, in a sense, to save some time. So you can see um, there's almost no indication on the nose of anything. I did it off camera, that one extra coat, simply to move the videos along. Um, I went in the ears with that same color that we went over the limbs. I went in with what I call my number 4, which is a combination of colors that I put together. So this is the number 4. I went in with one coat inside the ears, okay? And I did that to, again, save a little bit of time because we do have to wait for, some drying. So I did want to move forward. So our dear Kato is really looking good. I think he's looking pretty good. Tell me what you think. Um, I was looking at, I think I told you the history of Jason, and then I think I went into the history of uh, the Candyman, and I have a lot of different interests and hobbies. I used to really love horror movies many years back. Hellraiser was one of my very favorites, all of the series. It was so interesting how the main character would say, "Your suffering will be legendary." Oh my goodness, it was so funny to me, even though it was horror. Some of it was so funny. It had, many movies and pictures and things like that. They have different catchphrases or things that they say that maybe stick out in your mind. Um, while I am reborning, I am listening to my um, Sirius XM spa music, which is very relaxing. And I am sipping on my coffee. I love coffee quite a bit. We are going to go over, I think we're going to go over the limbs. Remember the last, uh, what was it, maybe number 9, when we did the limbs, I went over certain areas, the elbow and the wrist, and I made them, a bit deeper in color to give a little, that extra color. Now that we went over the limbs with this number 4, we have, it has faded in that deeper color that we had created around the areas of the elbows, the wrists, the knees, and the ankles. It's kind of blended in. So we're going to go back over it, those areas, to create that bit of darkness again. That's what happens. A lot of times you do have to build things up to get to the colors that, you would like. So we will now do that. We'll go back with our um, number 4 brown. So our number 4, That's this one. So we're going to go back over there. I'm having such fun making these videos and doing all of this reborning. I'm really, really, truly enjoying myself very much. And I hope that you are enjoying too, and that it might give you some inspiration to reborn yourself, or if you're just simply enjoying watching, that's wonderful too. You may be able to pick up some tips and tricks that you might be able to incorporate into what you do. We all learn from one another. It's kind of like each one teach one, right? We can pick up from one another. So I'm going to go ahead and um, to mix, or to stir, I should say, this number 4. And so we can then go over the limbs, just over those, the knees, and a little bit of the bend of the toes, the ankles, and the wrists. We're just going to go in with that same color. I think that will give us a nice gradient. I think it will. If not, I can go in with the burnt umber. Um, let's see. Because if I go in with this, it's going to be like a shade, like a little bit darker. Um, but if I go in with the burnt umber, it's going to give a little bit more of a contrast. Not sure which one I want to do. Well, we will go on ahead with a little bit on the elbow to see if it's going to give any additional color here. Let's see if it does. If it doesn't give any additional color, I will go over it with the burnt umber. Now, what I'm definitely doing here is I'm going to make sure to pounce this in the middle, and then to definitely pounce around on the edges so that it blends. So, interesting that it's giving a lighter, it's looking lighter rather than darker. This is the color that I painted the rest of the limbs with. That's interesting. Well, okay, so what we're going to do then is this, so that we can maintain some continuity with this, the limb. I'm going to take the other elbow. I'm going to use the same color, and then I'm going to um, do these areas that I discussed with you before with the burnt umber, which is darker. I can see where it's deepening up, but it's not going deep enough for me. So what I will do is I'm going to take the other elbow and go across it and see. Okay. Interesting thing about painting and different arts and crafts is the creativity that it allows you. Um, Generally, there is no wrong or right. It is something that is your own interpretation, because most things, with it being your own interpretation, you can um, do what it is that you like, and generally, things do turn out pretty good. There usually isn't anything that happens that you cannot um, repair or make work. So you can see, interestingly, um, it looked like it was lighter. Now it's blending in. The color is blending in. Um, so it's not giving the deeper color that I would like. So no worries. I'm going to go in with the burnt umber. That's just fine. This is a color that I really do like. Whoops, be careful. This is a color that I really do like. However, it's just not giving what it is that I want, which is fine. We have our burnt umber, which is a deeper color. It is burnt umber mixed with some black, a small bit of black to make it even deeper, and then some yellow ochre. Just kind of give a little bit of dimension. So we will mix, 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 and to get this nicely mixed up. So I have a lot of videos on my channel even before I started painting myself. I know many of you are here for the series, the painting series, which is wonderful. I do have a number of other videos where, I have my other dolls, a little bit of role play, some experiences that I've had with, my dolls. I also show uh, some videos with my parents, just a little bit. And, I discuss a lot of different things. Um, I discussed a lot of different things on my channel. So, okay, this is very nice. I like this color. I think this is going to work out nicely. So let's make sure that we have everything sitting nice and level. We're going to go with the knee. I'm going to use one of my smaller brush, my angle brush. I just want to, I'm just going to use the angle brush because I just want to kind of see what it's going to give. So I'm going kind of like in the middle of the knee, and I'm kind of going around the bottom of the knee, kind of like a little bit of a curve. Um, and just kind of seeing. So I'm doing similar to what I did before. And we're going to just pounce this out to see if it's going to give us a little bit of a deeper color around there. I think it is. Let's see. I think it is. It's giving a little bit, okay, which is good. I'm going to put on my little personal fan. I hope it doesn't make too much noise. I'm just going to put it on a little bit warm while I'm painting. So I'm just going to kind of go over a little bit. Let me take this small angle brush again and go around the ankle area with this burnt umber color. I can see some faint remnants of the deeper, when I deepened it up before. So I do see that a little bit, which is nice. So that's good. Um, I do want to feather it out some more, and so that we can have that nicely feathered so that it's not a stark line, because a stark line wouldn't look good. It would look like a band, and we don't want it to look like, some kind of rubber band or so. We don't want that. So we're going to try to make sure that it's feathered. And feathering it is going above and below where I actually place the color. Let's see if it is showing up a little bit. We may have to do another layer when this one dries. I think you can see it a little bit there. I'm trying to get my light to angle. Okay. I think I'm going to go a little bit over the toes a little bit to try to get that dark color as well. To put it back because we lost it when we painted the legs again. So we're just going to go over, we're going to pounce it just a little bit so that we get that hint of that bit of darkness. Now what we may have to do, depending on the coloring, we may have to go over it one more time. We might. We have to see. You know, we have to see. It isn't a, you know, do this, do that, and then you get this. Sometimes it's, you know, it's very individual. That's why even you can paint the same kit using some, you know, the same colors. However, you can get a different result each time because the amount of pressure that you are applying the paints with, how you are pouncing, you know, different things will give you different outcomes. Now, remember we were talking about I needed to get a little bit more color down here on the going toward the sole of the foot. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this burnt umber and pounce it down a little bit and just pounce it down a little. Take a little bit off with this sponge and then I'm gonna kind of pounce it a little bit because ultimately I do want it to be feathered going down because that's actually how, you know, how it does look on, you know, on your foot. It's the color is kind of feathered down. So it's not like a stark line. So I'm gonna try to feather that. Okay. And we'll go back over it again. And I have a little particle here. I'll take that off. So you see it's getting a little bit deeper in color. Patience is the key. I think we're going to go over, we may go over the foot a little bit again with a slight bit of the red on the pad of the foot and on the toes. We may do that. I'm going to just wait a minute or two and think about it and see. Now we're going to go with the other knee. You can see, you can see maybe a slight bit of the other shading that we did, a slight bit on the ankles, but it's not coming through as much as I would like it to. So that's fine. We're going to go across again and just again, remember we're going to go a little bit under what would be the knee, a little bit around the sides, and a little bit above there. And, oh, I'm not in camera, huh? I hope the other bit of painting I was doing was in camera. I really do, I hope so. If I wasn't, I do apologize. I hope I was. So we're just feathering this around because again, we don't want any harsh lines. We don't want any harsh lines. Now what I may have to do is I may have to moisten this sponge so that it blends a little bit more. You know, it's kind of like the idea of if you, again, me with the makeup analogies, if you have ever used makeup, foundation, and you've used a beauty blender, you know that it works and spreads so nicely when it's wet. You squeeze, you know, when you wet it, you saturate it, and then you squeeze it out, and then you go across your face with the beauty blender, and then it just melts. The foundation melts. Now here I have a little distilled water in here because I thought I might have to moisten it again because when I started painting today, I had already moistened the wedge, the cosmetic wedge. So, and I guess since it's a cosmetic wedge, I guess it is the same principle as the beauty blender. So let's see if we can get, we don't want it to be sopping wet. That we don't want. We don't want it to be sopping wet. Squeeze some of this out, some of this water out. Okay, now I'm going to go across the ankle. Yeah, that's blending. That's blending better. Oh, I'm out of camera again. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, I may have to try to adjust my setup because if I'm not in, if I'm not in camera, hmm, it's not as beneficial as it could be. So I'm trying, of course, I have to see what it is that I'm doing, but I do want you to be able to see it as well. Okay, so we're just kind of, again, like I said, blending that, blending that, blending that around so that there is not a stark, not a harsh line. Again, the makeup analogy, no harsh lines. Because that's what, it doesn't look good, when there's a harsh line. So now that's nice and moistened. I'm going to go a little bit with this brush to pounce. I do have the kabuki brushes that I could also pounce with. I've used the kabuki brush when I was reborning my very first doll, Sonnet, and I liked it, but I can't say that I like it more than when I'm using the sponges. So I can't say that I do. And the kabuki brush, it's larger, so you can't quite get in as well as you can if you're using something, a little bit smaller. So at least that's what I find. Now, we went across the ankle. You can see there's a little bit of a deepening of the color. On the knee, we have some of that deepening of the color. And I'm not seeing a harsh line, which is good. So that's a good thing. Now, what I want to do is I think I want to try to adjust the camera. So I'm going to just bear with me a minute. Okay, I did adjust the camera, so I think that's okay. Um, I did the ankle, the knee, and I forgot to do the toes. So let's go across the toes to put that deepening color. While we have this color out, this paint color, what we'll do is we'll try to remember everywhere that we need to use this color while we have it out, and then we'll use it. That will kind of maximize our time and our energy. So, um, I think you can see, yeah, I think you can see okay with me pouncing, all right? So now remember we did the elbows with the other color, but we didn't do anything with the fingers. So what we would do is we would go across with the fingers. I see a piece of hair, something. So I'm going to take this little thing and see if that can get it off. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go just a little bit over the, this little bit right here, little bit right there. We're going to go down here and then here. This part right there, since it's bent, let's see, the finger that's bent in the middle of the bend, we're not going to put the dark color because that would kind of be a little bit lighter. You think about if you bend your finger, you would have that in a sense called white knuckle effect. So in that center part, you maybe wouldn't have that deep color. You might have a little bit of a, the lighter color. So we're trying to emulate shadows and colors that would, you know, lead help toward realism. Now we want to blend these colors out nicely. We don't want them to any harsh lines, but we want to blend them out nicely. So I think you might be able to see the deepening color. You might can see it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Now I'm going to go around the wrist. To see if we can get some of that deepening of the color. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this sponge, which has a little bit of, it was moistened, right? And see if that can blend out nicely. I think I want to go around the palm and kind of feather and blend a little bit more. I'm going to show you how I'm going to take a little bit of, I'm going to moisten my pointed Q-tip with just a little bit of distilled water, and I'm going to show you how I will feather that color around there. Okay, so now we have done the wrist. See where it's shiny, and once it dries, you'll see more. Now I'm going to just take a pointed Q-tip. I'm going to moisten it with some distilled water. And when I say I want to do what's feathered, you see here, I want to feather that, and definitely right here. I want to feather right there because I don't like quite the way it looks. It's a little bit too harsh. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking, because if you tap ever so slightly, you can take off that previous layer of paint, but you gotta do it very lightly, and all I'm using is distilled water. and that will kind of help me out a little bit. I'm only just kind of feathering it, and I'm pulling the color toward the darker color because that's actually what I would like. So it's kind of feathering, um, it's feathering what it's pulling the color toward the dark, which is what I actually want. That's what I want. So I'm doing it ever so lightly. And I just barely tap the Q-tip with the distilled water, just barely tapped it. So, and then I moistened it, and then I tapped it on the paper towel to get off any additional water, and then everything, the Q-tip is just barely wet, just barely wet. This is also a way that you can kind of clean up some areas because remember the paint, it may be dry in 20 minutes or so, and but it takes really 24 to 48 hours, excuse me, to 72 hours for the paint to really cure. So there are some things that you can still maybe go around and correct. And like I went around the thumb a little bit because I wanted to kind of feather that a little bit more, you know, to kind of feather it. So, you know, I'm very new at this. I've only been painting for what, 3 months? Let's see, what is that? August, September, October, yeah, because I started in October. Excuse me, I started in August, and this is now October. So I'm very new at this. Okay, I think you can see, look at that thumb. You see that deep color on the thumb? And you can see a little bit on the fingers, right? You can see a little bit. Um, the angle on the camera is kind of hard to get it, but we're getting. Turn off my little fan here, and I'm gonna go over the fingers on the other hand. So you don't see any deep color on the fingers, right? So once we stir this up and we go across, we're going to see that color. I'm going to put it on. So I'm going to go like directly over, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit, a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that the way I'm doing it is quote unquote the right way or the only way. I just find that I like the way this looks, and it kind of adds to that bit of realism. So I like that. I'm using the sponge because it is, it's a little moistened, so it can kind of blend. Again, makeup analogy, like a beauty blender blending foundation, where it just kind of all melts together. So let's see. Let's see if you can see it deepening up a little bit. If you can see. Let's see. Once it kind of dries a little bit more, you'll be able to see it. Because when it's wet, it's you don't see it as much. You might be able to, let me pull it back a little bit if you can see it over here. No, I don't. You can't see it on the camera. Now, I'm looking to see if there's anywhere on here that I want to feather out, and there is. So I'm going to dip it in some distilled water, tap it out till it's almost nothing on here. And then I'm going to kind of clean up and just kind of try to clean up, just tapping ever, just swiping ever so lightly. And what I would definitely suggest, if you do this, don't blame me if it doesn't come out the way you want. But if you do this, just start on an area where it's not as noticeable, and then just really swipe, just kind of barely, barely touch it as you swipe. Now, I do have Q-tips, regular size Q-tips that, you can do that with as well. But since I'm working with such a small area, and I just want a little bit off, I'm just kind of using this smaller device. And I'm getting a phone call. Okay, I had a phone call that I had to take. So while I was on the phone, I did a little bit of cleanup and shaping around the foot. So I shaped around. I used the Q-tip with some distilled water. I shaped around. Now I'm going to go in with some color and feather it out. One of the things that you can do, but you have to be mindful of how much pressure you're using, and if you're going down to the very to the base of the kit. Now, what I like to do when I paint, I like to go ahead and prime the kit, and then I put on a layer of what I call a skin tone layer, one of the light browns that I have, because then if I have to do any shading like that I just did, what will happen is it will go down to that tannish kind of color. But if you do a blue wash or a red wash first, after you prime your kit, if you have to do anything, you will then have that blue or that red color. Like right here, you don't see any blue or any red. You just see like a light tan, okay? Like a tan kind of color. And that's I'm going to shape it. I mean, I did some shaping with the Q-tip, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint. Now, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the toes to see if there's any paint that I need to, anywhere I need to adjust. Now, right here, let me see which way should I turn it. This big toe, this great toe, there's some color on the side, some paint on the side that I want to take my pointed Q-tip that I've moistened in some distilled water. I'm tapping it out, and I want to kind of go around there and take a little bit of that color down off of there, because I think it's up a little bit, maybe a little bit, a little bit too high. So I'm just kind of taking that off, and I can take one of my light. Now see, look, I took it off. You see where it looks a little bit wet, and you see the color. It's a that very light tan color. So I can easily go over with, maybe my nutmeg color, or whatever it is, and kind of, add a little bit of color back. Or I might, when I do go back over the toes with a little bit of the red. Now, is it this toe? Let me see. This this toe here, I think that paint, I maybe need to adjust a little bit of that paint there. Okay. And I'm taking, again, like I said, with the pointed Q-tip with a little bit of the distilled water on it, and mindful of the amount of pressure that I'm using. It's more or less like a light pressure. Now, again, I've only been doing this uh, since August, and we're now in, what is this, October. So now there may be a better way to do this, or there may be others that know how to avoid, maybe going a little bit too heavy with, or too far deep with the coloring, with the paint, but again, like I said, I'm new at this. I'm learning. I'm not, an expert. I didn't go um, to school for this. I didn't pay for any tutorials. I just, you know, looked at different videos on YouTube, the free videos, and I looked at some artists that were air dry as well as heat set. And, I looked at different things, but I don't recall anybody showing you how to clean things up a little bit. Now you see how nice that looks around on that toe? That really looks nice. Okay. So I'm going around looking at anywhere else on the toes that I think they might need a little what do you call it? A little um straighten it out, or perfection, kind of going around them. Okay. So, because actually the color on the toes doesn't really go to the end, high up on the toenail. It actually doesn't. So, it kind of goes, partially up the toe to the up the toenail, and then you still see some of the the color of, like, the sole of the that skin there. So that's what I'm doing. So you see, toes look even more realistic, right? They look even more realistic. So I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to kind of go across the others just in case if there's anything. I'm going to show you this one to see if there's anything that I need to do. I'm going to pause the video because otherwise it's going to be extremely long and it takes a while to upload. And I do want to show you how I feather out this on the bottom. Okay, so I kind of tightened up around the toes just to make sure that that they look as close to real as I can get them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the soles of the feet to put color where it needs to be. I don't like quite the shape of this. Um, I think I'm gonna go up a little bit here because it's the way the foot is angled. So I'm taking a regular Q-tip, and I'm gonna go here a little bit. I want to go up a little bit. I don't know. I think you can see it. And again, like I said, because when I do my kit, I start with what I call a foundation layer of the of one of the tans. I kind of start off first with like one of the tan colors. So in the event that I'm doing something like this, it goes down to that color as opposed to being, red. If I had, did a red wash, if I had done like the primary method. Because when you do the primary method, that's what happens. You're doing blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow, red, or whatever order you do it. But if you have to do anything quite like this, it's going to end up being whatever that color is, that blue or that red or yellow, whichever one it is. And what I'm trying to do is get a similar side. Like, I kind of like the way this one has the heel, the way that looks. So I need to kind of bring this one up a little bit closer to the lower part of the ankle. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Again, I'm using distilled water on this Q-tip. To me, this is something that, I think, kind of cleaning up like this. Now, I don't know, like I said, I've not seen anyone show this. And maybe there is someone, because I mean, I can't say that I've seen absolutely everything, all of the videos that are on YouTube. And like I said, I've just only looked at the ones that are free. I haven't, purchased anything. But what I will say is doing it this way, I find, you see how nice that's coming along? And you see, now I can add my tan or whatever browns I want to use, and it's still going to end up being a nice brown that I can feather. So, now when I was painting this kit, um, I guess what I did was not I guess, I went lower than I should have with the skin tone. That's why I'm ending up having to do some of what I'm doing now. However, you see, it looks nicely feathered though. So when I do add some color back, it's going to look nice. It's really actually going to still look nice. It's going to look feathered. And what you can see, I'm pushing into the deeper, into the deep color. So, you know, that's giving that bit of feathering look to it. At least that's what I think. Um, I think I need to go up a little bit here. Let's see, I think a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks, let's see. And then um, what I'll do is I'll take some more color and go around. I think I need to go up a little bit here still. And I don't know if this is something that you want to see or not, but I think this is also something that is helpful because you can even see how nicely it's feathering the color. You see? And you can even see um, some of the tan that's there under, and it still looks very good. So I'm just kind of going over. And again, this is just distilled water on a Q-tip. I have the regular Q-tips and then, or cotton swabs. And I also have the ones that are pointed. So yeah, I'm doing this. So trying to get it to where I think it should be. And then I'm gonna, like I said, I'll paint over it, because I'm trying to look at the shape that the foot is in so that I'm able to um, create dimensions of realism. So I like this. I like this quite a bit. Quite a bit. So, and since we use distilled water, I can go back in and paint. Now I'm going to look at it from this angle to see if I can kind of even it out, kind of almost make it almost like a circle here around the foot. Let's see. You see? Now, this side, I think I got to fix because it look like I'm seeing a sharp corner. Um, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll kind of go in semicircles and try to get it right. I like this side a lot, and I'm gonna go over it with, in here I'm gonna go paint again, and this side I'm gonna paint again. I'm just trying to get the shape. I think I still have to go up a little bit more. I think that's what I need to do. Um, I think I do. I think that's what I need to do to go off a little bit more. Let me throw this away and use another uh, cotton swab Q-tip. I moistened it with distilled water, and then now I tapped it off the excess, and then now I'm kind of going up a little bit. And then when I blend some color down, it's gonna look nice. I can see the vision in my head. I can see it in my head. Um, you know, that blending of colors, that little blending of colors, I think it's going to be nice. Okay, let's look at it from, let's see the angle, trying to have the right angle. Okay, so you see, it looks good. I think it looks good. And then we're going to put we'll paint over it. Um, let's see, this foot is good. Now you see the heel here looks good. This side looks good. This side looks good, right? I think I'm gonna bring this part up a little bit more, take a little bit more off of there. Just a little bit more. Because actually, when you look at a foot, you see that the skin tone doesn't go all the way down. It's a little bit higher up. So like I said, when I painted this the limbs on this kit, I kind of went maybe a little bit lower. Whereas on my other dolls that I've created or reborn, I didn't go down quite as deep, as low. So um, I was able to blend it. But we will definitely blend this nicely. And you'll see what it's going to be like. I, um, I hate that the video is going to be so long because it's going to take a while for it to upload. but it doesn't. It's not gonna take an excessively long time. But when it's longer, it takes some time to upload, as well as um, you know, when it's a long video. I hope that it's interesting to watch. What I do, I like long videos because if I'm watching a video while I'm painting, I like sometimes the longer content, so that I have something going while I'm actually painting, which is nice. Yeah, I think that's nice. I think that's nice. So yeah, so I think this looks pretty good. And again, like I said, I'm gonna put the coloring, add some color so it will blend in nicely. Um, let's see what we can do with our face on Kato. Let's see. Okay. He's looking good. Where we did a little bit of that repair looks really good. You almost can't even tell. I'm gonna just do a little bit more. I can just see a little bit of it in the light. I can see a little bit. Um, I'm just gonna put a little bit in the center again, because again, like I said, I don't want it to create a harsh line around where we did the correction. Um, let's see. Let's see, is that it? Oh, actually, no. That was just the light. That was just light shining. I don't think I need to do anything else with it. I think I can just go, just deepen the color around the nose anyway. Okay, so that's pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. I'm satisfied. I'm pleased. Okay, so I mixed the nutmeg color, which is what I want to go over the foot here. Okay, to bring back some of that color. I'm going to take my angled brush and yeah, let's see if you can see it. And I'm just gonna kind of take it down a little bit so I can feather it, be able to feather that color where we took a little bit off. And then we're gonna pounce it. Gonna pounce, 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 pounce. Ah, I should have taken some off there. It's not as neat as it could be. You see there's some color there I need to take off. I didn't realize that. Okay. I didn't realize it. It's all right. Because it's in the center of the heel. And I want to kind of, that's why it's, to blend, 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 blend. Right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to blend. I'm going to put color here. Now, remember, most everything we have to do more than one coat. You go back in to deepen up the tones, and that's just kind of like how it is, and it gives that beautiful look, that look of realism. It adds to the look of realism. So we're going to, you can see I'm going up above a little bit into the deeper brown skin tone, and I'm feathering down. I'm just kind of feathering down a little bit with the paint, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pounce. I'm going to pounce kind of in a downward motion so that it kind of is blending in that way. Now you see, it's coming nice, right? Coming along nicely. Now again, like I said, we would have to do more than one coat of paint. Um, it has to, of course, dry in between, but we will do another coat, and you can see how nice that's starting to look, right? It's coming along, coming along, coming along, and we're going to do the same thing on this foot. I'm showing you this because why? You may need to do this too. And if there's anything that I can share that might be beneficial, that might help, I will do that. Because sometimes you don't know what might help someone. I mean, I'm just learning different things as I go, figuring things out myself. There are some things that, like I said, I have looked at YouTube tutorials, and some things are discussed on the YouTube tutorials in them, and some things aren't. So, okay, here, let me see. Here, I think I want to take a little bit of this color off because I'm having a little bit of a border. I don't know if you can see that. There's a color, yeah, you see that? And that's going to leave a line, and I don't want there to be a line. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove that, and then I'll go back over the color with the nutmeg. Now I'm going to show you what I mean. You see, now there's not a harsh line, right? It's not a harsh line. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to go back in. Now I'm going to go in with the nutmeg. I'm going to pull it down like I showed you before. I'm not going over what I've already added the nutmeg. I'm just going over where I didn't. And you see it's coming nice, right? Gonna need another layer, but it's coming nice. It's coming very nice. Right, we did that side, right? And we have to do some more. Okay, on the hand, we didn't have to do any real cleanup, just a little bit, on the base of the palm leading to the wrist, just a tiny little bit, because we did do a little cleanup there. Blend, pounce it, and you can barely see that there was anything that we had to correct. Okay, and then the same thing, I'm going to do the other hand. Let's see, that palm area leading to the wrist. See, um, just going to kind of blend it where we did some feathering before, remember? So I'm just going to kind of, now what we may do, we may go in with a little bit of that red for some look of blush. And I think we're looking pretty good here. I think the only thing that we have to do is we have to go back over the elbow with the burnt umber color, because remember, we went in with a color that was a little bit lighter, and it didn't give a little deeper coloring. So what we'll do is I'm going to go over with the burnt umber and see, do I want to do anything while I have uh, this color out? Let's see. I don't think so. I don't think I need anything right now with this color. I maybe want to go in the mid face, and maybe I'll go in the mid face with a little bit of this color, just a little bit. Um, I have a smaller brush. Let me see if I can find a smaller brush. Okay, we're going to be finishing up shortly because I don't want to have you here too long. Um, I'm going to go in with a bit of this nutmeg to kind of help blend some more of this color in here. I'm going to use this smaller brush so that I can get in a little bit tight. I'm not going to go over the eyes. I'm just going to kind of see what color it's going to give on the cheeks. Yeah, nice, very nice. Okay, so I'm going over the cheeks, under there, okay, around a little bit under the eyes, not on the eyes. And we're going over the cheeks for that little bit of highlight kind of look. Okay, all right. Now what this is doing is we're still going to have some of that highlight color in, on the face, um, which will give Kato that sun-kissed kind of look. But it will be able to blend the other browns in. That's something that we want. We want to just make sure that everything is blending in. I'm going to moisten this sponge. I have some distilled water here. Then I can moisten the sponge. I have a couple of different areas where I have distilled water. I have one little thing with distilled water so that I can pounce, that I can use the sponge to moisten the sponge, right? So that we can have that beauty blender effect, right? And that's very nice. I think I'm going to go over the middle of the nose a little bit, right? And between this part of the eyes, right? A little bit. Almost like the T-zone sort of. And we're going to pounce this out and it's going to blend in so nicely. So very, very nicely. You see, you still see a little bit of the highlight, but we're starting to blend where it's not going to be a stark contrast, but just a bit of subtle change where it just looks like a bit of, just a little bit of a highlight. That's all, just a little bit where this color is. I think he really looks so handsome. So very, very handsome. So handsome. You can see that color. And we can get even closer. And you see what I mean? It's just a subtle, subtle change in the colors. No, that may yeah. So you just see that little bit of a subtle color. Now, what I want to do is right here, you see a little bit of coloring, a little bit of, I'm going to go in with this here nutmeg. Just a little bit of the nutmeg. I'm going to go in with it, just a small amount to kind of go around that forehead right there where, okay, bouncing this out. Okay, that temple area, I should say. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other temples area. And just blend that out, blend that out, blend that out, blend that out. Everything, I just want to feather it. I just want to feather it. Everything, I just want to feather it so that there's not any harsh lines. Now, I'm seeing some lines of demarcation on Kato's face here. So what I'm going to do to kind of try to remove that, I'm going to go bring that paint a little bit this way and blend. See if that kind of, yeah, that looks really nice. That looks really nice. Okay. Okay. That's what I just did to fix the color. This is the side where I shouldn't even say fix, but where I'm just going in to blend, because it's not like there was anything wrong. And I want to just take a little bit more on this side. Yeah. And we're just going to blend around and around and around. Blend around and around. So we get that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful blending color on our handsome Kato. Wow. He is gorgeous. He is handsome. Ooh, look at Kato. Look at Kato. He is really a handsome young man. Handsome, handsome, handsome. Now, what I'm going to do as well, I think, is, let's see, he looks good. I don't think I'm going to do any more with this nutmeg color. I don't think so. Not right now. Not right now. Ooh, this video is quite long. I think what I will do is I'm going to go off camera, go a little bit more inside the ears to kind of help to blend that color out. You know, but I'm going to use this number 4 to do that with the ears. So we are an hour and what is this, 15 minutes in. I hate for the video to be so long, but I am still here painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stir this around, and I'm going to go inside the ears a little bit, and then we will, I guess we will be done with what I'm doing, with what I will do on camera. I don't know that there's anything that I will do off camera. because everything is pretty much the way I would like it. It's going, pretty well. So going inside the ear, the whole inside part. Now at a certain point, I think I'm going to take a deeper color, even deeper, just to kind of give the illusion of the depth of the canal. Okay, we have some nice color there. And we're going to do the other ear. Oops, kind of helps a little bit more. We don't want anything that looks anything remotely like pooling. Nothing. So again, going around here. So I really, 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 really do hope and pray that you are enjoying this series, that it is beneficial. I've had some lovely comments, and I'm grateful for that. Where some have said that they're learning something from watching, and I do have a timer so that I can make sure that I take a break, that I'm not, on too long. I have a timer so that I can make sure that I get up and I move, um, because that's something that's very important, you know, health-wise. Okay, we're getting some of this color. And since the sun is going down, that might also be why the color is uh, that you can't see the color quite as nicely as I would. Okay. So I will encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Leave some comments of what you're thinking. This is helping you. If you happen to be an artist yourself, an artist and a collector only, let's have some conversation in the chat. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Peace and blessings.